What's up, everybody? Jackson here today with my little brother Chubbz.
Hello, everyone.
And today we're going to be talking about something that happened at E3 that we found really refreshing in today's kind of world, especially when it comes to video games. You see it in all forms of media, though. Like perhaps a musician released a song that got critically hit and was talked about, and they defended it to the grave, even though it could be proven objectively in an objective enough fashion that it was broken.
Right.
Movies, actresses,
you can see it with actors, actresses,
it with, directors.
Oh yeah.
Like Ryan Johnson thinks that film is perfect.
Oh yeah.
And it's almost like I'm not saying that the backlash is responsible,
but what
or
we're
that
saying,
the criticism isn't deserved. But I think when you push, like,
it's this
that it's a wave, dude. And I feel like when you get a wave against you, instead of humbling yourself and looking at it like they might have a point,
right?
Because within this wave is just mounds and mounds of shit.
Oh yeah.
Right. So you're not just getting objective criticism about faults, bugs, things like that. You're also getting a fair amount of stupidity and hate, because the internet doesn't just give the intellectual calm man or woman the ability to express their mind. It also gives
the hot-headed shit talker.
And to be fair, I've been that guy before.
Oh yeah.
It happens. It's very easy to trap yourself into that, because especially with the way YouTube works, the way social media works, is there's this idea that I got to get my opinion out there as fast as possible in order to get those clicks, get that revenue. And what that does is it forces upon creators of any media that they got to get it out now.
Right.
And when you have emotional feelings tied up with your argument and you haven't taken it and broken it down and looked at it from the side of against yourself, and calmed yourself down and looked at all the opposing things that people could say, you're not going to put forth a well-constructed opinion, or it's just, or it's going to be faulted.
Or if you get emotional, like you said, and hot-headed, it comes across with how you're saying it. All of a sudden there's a lot more like volatile acid with your words, you're spewing venom.
Yes.
And that's another thing, is I think with all these mediums, it just boils down to the human not being able to take responsibilities for their actions.
Yes.
It boils down to them not wanting to take responsibility for their flaws, for their faults, and therefore they're never going to change. They're never going to be able to evolve and look past these issues and overcome them and become a better person, because somebody sat them down and honestly said, all right, look, these are the things you need to look at.
And you can see this in many companies and deliveries of products, but in video games, we want to focus today on mainly 3. And what we saw at E3 was so refreshing because it's something we haven't seen from the other 2 that we're going to discuss. So I'd like to first discuss very briefly No Man's Sky. The broken, buggy mess that it was, barely functioning, missing features out of the ass, and it was clearly misadvertised. It was clearly fucking sold way too soon.
For $60.
For $60. It was a bad move for a company to make, in my opinion, and it has hurt them and their reputation for me forever.
Oh yeah.
Forever. One of the things that will always be one of the reasons is that no one in that company showed humility and showed enough respect to the people that had felt fucking taken advantage of by this slick talking individual who was talking about an experience that ended up being radically different from anything he discussed prior to release, right? Never said anything. Now, the other side of this is they have continually added on to it, modders as well. So it's grown a very good standing, mostly positive rating on Steam. And that's fine. From that perspective of that other side, I can see how you can be forgiving of Mr. Murray and Hello Games, because I feel much the same way with Gearbox. Okay, there's a difference. It's because in my taste, which is completely just subjective. It's just in my taste. I think No Man's Sky is boring as fuck. I feel like what was told to me was going to be an RPG, and when I think of an RPG, I don't think of Minecraft.
Yeah.
I don't think of fucking free play and make your own fun, and that's fine. I'm not saying this isn't a valid game, that's not a valid genre, that people aren't validated if they enjoy it.
Right.
I'm just saying, to me, I like a more structured RPG system,
especially
with quest givers, NPCs,
yes, exactly,
progression,
these things that Mr. Murray had talked about with like the different factions, the different aliens, being able to pick a side in different faction wars, shit like that was all missing from the game.
Yes,
right.
And I don't care if I could come upon a battle in space and shoot one. He made it out to be that there were factions that were joinable.
Yes, and you would pick a side.
Yeah, and like then it boiled down to like what I think at one point it was like what of those alien races you went with. But the game had no direction. It had no ending.
At all.
It was built to be a sandboxy experience, which is what it's become.
Oh, yeah.
So if that's what it was, then he shouldn't have been talking about MMORPGs. He shouldn't have been in agreement with that when that was mentioned. He shouldn't have been talking about multiplayer on fucking, Koubitz on national TV.
Comparing it to like Journey and Dark Souls.
So this is the thing. Mr. Murray never came forth, never put out any words expressing any regret to the people who he had let down. Instead, he just quietly and evolved the game and rightfully made at least some people who purchased that game on his word happy with the purchase. The least he could do, and he did it. And I can respect him for that. Moving from that to Battleborn. So Battleborn's somewhat the same story. It's released half-baked. We've talked about this numerous times. Bugs, PvP glitch, like just shit out. It was bad.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's well documented on our channel. You can go back and watch.
Buggy, glitchy, broken mess.
And so put into this system was this free-to-play grind filling. And then we hear from Jason Schreier, who I may not respect many things about and opinions about, but I do respect that he's a very good source of like insider information coming from the industry. He's the one who talked about the FPS, StarCraft FPS that was fucking cut, and he's the one he's the true messy story on Destiny. And although he sugarcoats things, and he definitely gives it from the view of the company, I think that he's still a credible source. Well, right. He came forth and he said Battleborn will be going free to play. And immediately Randy Pitchford came out and he said, no, that's not going to happen. That's a lie.
It's a free trial.
It's a free trial version. No, we've been thinking of a free trial version.
Right.
Right. No, what it was it was going free to play. But since Randy stepped forth and put his foot in his mouth and said, no, it's not going free to play. When it went free to play, they called it a free trial and no one understood that it was free to play.
Yeah.
Because of the one man's fucking pride. One man's fucking, like we said, back yourself into a corner and never fucking let go.
Yep.
Never admit that there may be a problem with the fucking thing that you delivered to people. And I'm not here to say that Battleborn was all faults. There was a lot of good things about it. But with those good things, you have to accept the bad things, the bad decisions you made that hurt the product to the point now where if I'm getting gameplay footage on PC, it's the motherfucking menu.
Yep.
Because no one plays it. And there's a reason no one plays it, and that was the delivery of it, the time frame within which it was delivered. It could have been delayed until the winter update.
Yep.
And been released in that state and been a more impressive product, and it would have had a better chance because most people would have been a little bit bored of Overwatch by then, right? Because it would have been released months and months and months after.
Yep.
So it would have been a new thing that people love new things. So it could have been the new thing that people stepped into, and it could have been functioning in winter update state. So these are you can't just accept accolades when it's a good release and it's praised like you do with Borderlands.
Right.
Right? Because he'll accept the accolades there. He'll say, yeah, we did great. We did good.
Well, that's another thing is all these people want to pat on the head and given a cookie and been like, oh, you did a good job. But they don't want to sit down and actually have a conversation when they're fucking up and be like, okay, whoa, I maybe need to change some things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that's true with any medium.
Any crow.
With any person.
You know, all throughout life, you're gonna have to eat crow. You're gonna have to humble yourself and if you don't, I feel sorry for you. You will never grow as a person. You will never get past base bitch. If you do not sit yourself down, look at all of yourself and be like, okay, what do I need to focus on? What do I need to change?
Yeah.
If you don't do that, and you're just like, no, every move I make is fucking good. Every move I make is the best move you could possibly make. I am right, you are wrong. Like, if you're that mentality, Mr. Pitchford, all right, this is the thing. I respect Gearbox for, like, the Quebec chapter, that fucking DLC that was free, was amazing. This HD retexture pack for fucking Handsome Jack collection makes it look gorgeous. The fucking Borderlands Enhanced Game of the Year edition,
right?
Free. It's these sorts of things. Like, I respect them, and I can understand people who did like No Man's Sky, who were able to get into it and let their imagination go wild with the building and things like that they eventually added later. I can totally see them being okay with it. So here's the thing, though, is at E3, Todd Howard surpassed both of these men in respect for me personally. Now let's talk about Todd Howard. Todd Howard is, if you don't know who he is, he's famous, and you should just Google it because you will know. But it's basically, he's been memed with, like, he was a chess kid and he was, you know, playing with computers and things like that, and other people wanted to be movie stars, and he just said, I want to make video games.
Right.
And the pedigree of Bethesda is insurmountable in RPG richness. They are some of the pioneers, I would say, of, like, I mean, not earliest, but they were there in the time frame where they were impacting that progression of RPG video games.
Oh, yeah.
And when Oblivion came out, to me personally, that was the first one I played. I know a lot of other people played Morrowind first. For me, it was Oblivion. I had PS3. So with Oblivion, I was able to completely lose myself in that game and just become immersed to the point where it was ridiculous. And it was to the point with that when the Game Crazy kid told me, like, I was like, look, what's coming out that looks good? And he was like, well, did you like Oblivion? And I was like, yeah, I loved it. And he just totally sold me on Fallout 3. And I pre-ordered the deluxe collectors. I got a lunchbox, bobblehead, bunch of cool shit. And it was all because of Oblivion. Because Oblivion had been such a rich RPG experience for me with this dungeon crawling, and just, like, for me personally, one of my first experiences with that type of game, to that level of detail and care put into immersion and putting the player in the game.
Oh yeah.
That was the first one that I personally had played to that extent, being an RPG.
Oh yeah.
When Fallout 3 came out, same thing. Just blown away. Loved it, every second of it. When I found out that you could blow up Megaton instead of saving it, I was just like, what?
And then it sends you to 10 Penny Tower.
Yeah, and you're like a bad guy now. I was just like, wow,
it, like,
what the
totally
fuck?
changes, because, like, if you were doing the good guy story, you would eventually go to 10 Penny Tower, but it's a little bit later in the game, and it totally switches it and makes that area the starting area for your evil character.
Yeah. And
like,
it's just, it's that sort of attention to player immersion and choice.
Oh, yeah.
And so for me, with Todd Howard, did I know the man? Yes. Did I respect the man? Yes. But that respect had lessened for several reasons that we're going to go over. But first and foremost is Fallout 4 to me. That was when I first started to feel it. When I started to see what the game kind of was and how it kind of half-stepped it. It felt like there's legendary gear, so it's kind of trying to be a gear farm game, which wasn't what Fallout 3 was at all. But it put a lot of emphasis on that, on these slots that you could put on arms and over, you know, and then your under gear and like kind of like these, it was very much a part of the game, especially at later levels when you had done most of the game and had filled out the story and you were getting to where you were just exploring stuff, putting off the end.
Right.
You know, if it became a, you know, oh, look, a fucking legendary. What does it do? You know, it became a part of the gameplay and the progression. But it felt half-stepped because the gear wasn't really that game-changing. It didn't really feel fleshed out to me. It was kind of more like, oh, this one kind of makes you go invisible if you crouch.
Yeah.
It's cool, but that's like one of the most unique ones I could think of. For the most part, it was extra run speed, things like that.
Yeah, there really wasn't much. And
nothing memorable. I mean, I spent over 100 hours in that game, and right now, like I said, I can think of the ones that speed you up. I'm sure there was ones that increased melee damage or something like that.
Right, but the thing about that game and the gear in that game is stepping from Fallout 3 to Fallout 4, that felt like a step backwards. That's the thing with Fallout 4, because there were multiple step backwards.
That would have been a step forward if the rest of Fallout had remained.
Well, Fallout 3 you could craft. So, like, yes. And you could repair. So, like, you could make your own armor. It was
a necessity to repair.
Yes, and it was a necessity to, you know, craft, modify your weapons, modify your armor. You could make entire different melee weapons like the shish kebab and shit. Yeah. And I remember going through Fallout 4, constantly going to that crafting table thinking there's going to be something.
But it was more of just modifying it less than constructing it.
It was like you got the best thing. So you no longer need to go to that workshop and fuck with your gun. Because there's nothing else in the game that's going to make it better than what you have on right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Because it was just, you had the best slotted things within the modifying tree. Like, you know, grip, things like that.
And the legendary loot
I went melee build on my playthrough.
But the legendary loot was the same way. Like you were saying, the one that, like, when you crouched, you stealthed out, and there was one.
There were some cool weapons.
But the thing was once you went to the workshop table, I remember getting a legendary gun, going there and being like, what am I going to be able to put on this? And feeling let down because it's already got the best equipped.
It didn't feel... yeah, exactly.
It just, like, didn't feel as deep and rich. As much things to play with.
It felt like it was... Here's the thing. So, there's a lot of talk about accessibility, and I think that accessibility is something that we should talk about, because I don't think that you should dumb down your game as some sort of cop-out to making it more accessible. That's disrespectful to your audience. That's telling you, okay, listen, to our intelligent audience, we know you can handle complex trees, leveling systems. We know you can handle, you know, complex gear progression and, you know, refining all of the outside progression and things like that, quests, maybe reputations, you know, joining a faction, refining that, making that rich, deep, and functional in several cases in Fallout 4. But either way, we know that you can handle those things, but to our other half of our audience, sorry, we know you're dumb. We'll make it simpler for you.
Yeah.
And that's the thing where I start to say, I think that there can be a fucking balance between those. I think The Witcher 3 found that balance. If you play just the story, you're not tested to the point where you are in Death March.
Right.
And so here's a balancing act. So even if you... But here's the thing. Even in just the story, it retains the skill tree. It retains your ability to build Geralt the way that you want to build, using signs, using, you know, martial prowess,
right?
You know, potions, other things. It leaves you with all of this play to kind of make your own thing, and it respects you that maybe, okay, you can't handle the combat portion of this, but you're a fucking adult and you can read. And we think that you can understand that if you put one talent in this, it gives you more of this. Mm-hmm. And you can also, instead of doing that, you can do this.
Right.
And you can do this and this and this. And we respect you to be intelligent enough to figure out a complex skill tree. We think that you're intelligent enough to navigate through this very rich RPG story that has a lot of free will given to the player with how they want to react to the events of the world.
Yes.
We respect you enough to give you that experience where it is easier. It's not dumbed down. It's just easier. It's, you know, it's not as hard as Death March in combat.
The gameplay is easier, but the progression is still there. They don't dumb down the progression. The story elements are still there.
The immersive elements
when
are
you
still
talk
there.
to people, you still feel like every choice matters.
This is the thing that, and I do not like this because I perceive it when you see things like the Creation Club come later, and you see things like all of these decisions made with Skyrim where they're updating the game for the Creation Club at the sake or at the cost of modders who have to periodically go back in and fix their mods, and they're doing it for free.
Oh yeah.
So it's almost like an attempt to drive the modders off so that people are more inclined to spend money in the Creation Club. There was a Koubitz video on it. I will look it up and post it below. It was amazing. Go watch it. But my point here is that these sorts of things is, yes, it's for accessibility, but what you're doing when I see these moves made, like when I see a Destiny beta and they remove part of a jumping puzzle, like when I see things like this and I see like the simplification of the skill tree, and I hear Mark Noseworthy say things like, well, we were concerned that players didn't know how to play the classes that they were picking. I see a disrespect towards the intelligence of the consumer, and I see it as possibly a calculated move because less intelligent individuals are going to be more inclined to spend frivolously, fucking fuck that word, on your in-game cosmetics, in-game progression tracks. I mean, when you look at games like Destiny, they have evolved into this point where it started out, pick your emote and buy it.
Right.
To now they're in loot boxes. To now that fucking Sparrow Racing has been introduced, there's a record book that you kind of have to have if you give a fuck about this event and want to participate in it regularly. And it's only available for purchase with real life cash. And you see this evolution of this, and you see Mark Noseworthy say when it comes to Destiny 2 that we wanted to dumb it down, essentially, because we were concerned that people were too dumb to figure out our dumbed down already skill tree in the first game. I, as a player, have no respect for you or your game or your company.
Nope.
So my respect for Todd Howard had been waxing, because that's what Fallout 4 felt like. It felt like that it was easier to grasp the skill system, the way that you picked like the perks, like the little perk brochure or whatever it was, and all of that. It felt like that was so much easier to look at and progress through than, okay, well, what do I want to focus on, lock picking or this or that or that, because that ended up just being like, okay, well, I'm dedicating these skill points to this, and that's kind of what it was in the other one. But it was also a gradual give and take of, okay, well, this level, I've got enough to get into these sorts of locks. I'm going to have to just remember that this area had a door I couldn't get into, or this area had a safe that looked really interesting that I couldn't hack, and I'll come back later. And it was more of a give and take, where I didn't feel that so much in Fallout 4. I felt it, but it definitely felt streamlined, which I liked at the time. I genuinely liked that at the time, but when I look at it and I go back and I play Oblivion and I replay Fallout 3, both of them on the PC now after years, you know, with mods and things, and I think about buying Fallout 4, and I buy it on Steam when it's on sale for $15. I install it and I start the tutorial, and I say to myself, while I'm listening to the Vault Tech guy just tell me, you know, like basically create a class, and I get to that point where I'm picking what I'm going to pick. And I just said, no, I'm refunding this fucking game.
Yeah.
I do not want to play this game.
Yeah.
I will much rather go replay Fallout 3 and make different decisions there and see the different things that could happen there, because they're much more varied and fleshed out.
Oh, yeah.
And sure, sometimes things break in those older games. Sometimes things happen. But it's so much easier to forgive it when it's just like, less of like, what should we do and what can we do sort of mentality.
Exactly, yeah. But then after that is their dumpster fire that they release. The infamous 76.
Oh,
Okay, the thing about Fallout 76 is it was exactly what we knew it was going to be.
Yeah.
We heard key phrases said. We heard live service. We heard online.
Do what you want.
Do what you want. Make your own fun. You know, other players are going to be the NPCs. And here's the thing about the game is I know there's people that liked it, that there's things in it that are fucking noteworthy and fun, but much like with Battleborn, you can't excuse a game for the good things for all of the bad things that happen too. You can't excuse those things. Now, I'm not saying that you can't in your mind have fun playing the game and forgive it, but you can't become complacent and say that this is perfect. There's nothing wrong with this. You have to at some point acknowledge, okay, this is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. The fact that that game released with as many bugs as it had that affected, we're not talking graphical glitches and errors, we're talking game-breaking, gameplay-changing bugs that fundamentally hurt the experience for the user.
Oh yeah.
All right, so these aren't things that I can look at and go, okay, well, it's, you know, a new game, that, you know, of course they're going to update it. Some things I can forgive.
Right.
I can forgive some things.
Right.
But if a game functions in a way that it makes your experience hindered, you cannot play this game, and you bought it for full price. That's un-fucking acceptable and indefensible, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Now, on top of that, the motherfucker shipped with microtransactions stock and standard day one. And on top of that, they fucking falsely advertised that things were on sale when in fact they were just the starting price to begin with. But they just added a slash through a price that it had never been in the store.
You know, that
for.
mental mind
Yes,
fuck.
that's all it is.
Oh, it's
and
on sale?
These things have lessened my respect for Todd Howard. They have lessened my respect for Bethesda Game Studios. And they have irrefutably hurt my experience with thinking about buying a game. When I heard that Fallout 76, when I heard what it was, we did not even get excited for it. We did a video called, Is Fallout 76 Bethesda's Destiny? And it 100% was. Mm-hmm. That's what it was. And they add these changes, they add these fixes, we're putting NPCs in the game, but here's the difference. Is where Destiny still has a view of its players that's disrespectful, that's very fucking, oh my god, like, I don't understand how you could be a Destiny player from 1 to 2 and be alright with the fact that Mark Noseworthy said that he didn't think you could handle the skill tree in Destiny 1.
You didn't know how to play your
That you
class.
couldn't figure out how to play your
Really?
class.
How many times did you fucking, like, get told you can't go on a raid because you're this class?
Never. It's not.
It doesn't fucking matter.
It's
You don't
not.
fucking need a certain thing. You
There's-
could go in there with
well,
6 hunters and do just
There
fine.
are things that are objectively better depending
you-
on activities
but-
you're doing.
But
But
you could go
not
in with
like-
6 hunters
it's not
and
like-
beat it.
well, it's not like Deep Thinkers. It's not like, okay, I should probably get the zone grenade that shocks AoE if I'm a Titan, if I'm playing Control. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, that's probably a good thing to get. Or I should probably grab the stun grenade if I'm running PvP. Because the stun grenade completely, you know, stops the mobs from attacking. It's crowd control.
Right.
Right? So this isn't hard to understand. These aren't difficult things that you have to understand, and they're situational at best, and at the end don't even matter, because if you're not using the stun grenade, it's not like your fire team isn't going to be able to complete that activity because you haven't spec'd into something that's needed for the fucking activity. It's not like that at all. These are situational. You use the AoE grenade whenever you want, use the stun grenade whenever you want. There's just certain times that a fucking player could point out that at this point in time, this is why this is the better game or the better grenade for this play. Right? But you look at that and you say that people can't understand that your audience can't understand that, and we need to simplify it down a little bit and make it a little more easier for them to figure out, to the point where it's an unlock it all system with 3 options, right? And I mean, yeah, there's the subclass, but when you first start Destiny, you have to grind endgame to get your other subclasses unlocked. The game only gives you 1 subclass. For fuck's sake. It gives you one subclass and then makes you farm the endgame grind for the rest in order to fucking gain access to your character's build that you spent $60 to get.
Yeah.
But either way, Todd Howard at E3, he did something that I immediately took notice. You did too.
Oh, yeah.
And you were like, good. And I was like, right?
At least it's something.
He says to the crowd, we got a lot of well-deserved criticism with Fallout 76. And he looks at the camera and you can tell he's uncomfortable and it's fucking super hard for him to say. And you can see like a little bit of, I don't want to be saying this.
But it
needs
to be
said. You need to take responsibility for your fuck-ups. And because if you don't look at Fallout 76 as a failure, if you don't look at Fallout 76 as a fucking good thing that could be improved upon immensely, then we'll just get Fallout 76s all the time.
Yep.
Because if that's enough for them to be able to say that's all they want.
Yep.
They want games that hardly function on day one. They want games with RPG on the fucking, genre tagline.
Yeah.
But no RPG fucking elements
Within
actually in the game.
Yeah.
Dude, don't fucking call your game an RPG if it's fucking got a skill tree that unlocks all the way. I'm sorry. Don't.
Or a randomized pack of cards.
Unless it's story, and don't do these narratives that have no player choice in them either. What am I role-playing as? This is not a role-playing game. It's an action game. It's an X game.
Yeah.
Role-playing games should be respected from the heritage of the fucking thing and be looked at through the goggles of a D&D dungeon master and just telling them, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Within the bounds of these rules, do whatever you want. You want to tell that fucking guard to fuck off? Sure, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
That's who we want behind the fucking thing. I don't want a dungeon master who's preparing encounters that are simple and dumbed down because he knows that I can't mentally comprehend the fucking battle. And that I can't mentally comprehend the fucking capabilities of my character and my party.
And what
that
I've been
can't
building.
fucking mentally calculate stats. That I can't mentally calculate damage modifiers and things of that nature. That I can't do that. That he needs to do that for me and just give me, oh, well, you have 3 abilities. Use those.
Yeah.
They have a quick cooldown, though. Use them all the time.
Here's a piece of gear.
RPG.
What power level is it? Oh, it's 5 levels higher. Oh, okay, I'll equip it.
Yeah. What does it have on it? Nothing. It's just 5 levels higher.
5 levels higher. Oh,
5
it's an
levels
upgrade.
Higher. Yeah, that's an upgrade. Right? I want a dungeon master like I believe Todd Howard used to be. I want Todd Howard to get back to the kid who would rather make video games than want to be a football star or a fucking Hollywood actor or whatever else he had said. I would rather have someone who is behind the games and the direction of the games saying, what can we allow the player to do? Not what should we allow them to do? What should we expect them to be able to do? You fucking are intelligent people. All right? You're making video games. That's not simple thing to do. Like, this isn't basic kindergartner shit. So you give us what you would like. Because don't tell me that this dumbed down shit is enough for you. That's enough for you at your mental capacity and the love that you have and the heritage that you have with video games within your own studio.
Yeah.
Don't dumb shit down.
To the people at
Do
Bethesda.
you like it?
Yeah, to the people at Bethesda. Would you rather play Fallout 4 over Fallout 3?
Would you rather play Fallout 76 over Fallout 4?
Right? Like, what? That's the thing.
So that's where I'm done. I want to leave it at that.
Yeah.
I want to leave it at let's get the dungeon master back on track.
Yeah. And
let's
at
get
least
the guy who understands narratives, who understands good storytelling, who understands player choice. Mm-hmm. That Todd Howard. Let's get him back in control, and let's see what we can get out of fucking Starfield.
Yeah. Because
that could be mind-blowing, or it could be an absolute travesty.
And that's one thing that I will say.
At this point, I don't know.
Yeah, but at this point, all I'm going to say is him owning up to his mistakes. I have a lot more respect for him, and I am definitely looking forward to see what the next project's going to look like. Just because of that. because you're not having this fucking bullshit, I can't handle it, so I'm a victim, and y'all are just fucking sending me threats, and, you know, you're threatening my life, and fucking tell me to kill myself, you know? No, he's like, no, we received a lot of well-received criticism. Well-deserved criticism.
And
he noted that, and
I really believe that if you haven't seen it, Joseph Anderson's review on that, that's the only one I would recommend. I've watched a lot of reviews on it, and that is the one I would recommend, because he is able to chill out and, you know, check his anger and look at it objectively and be like, all right, there are good things.
Yes.
There are positives to this game, and I wish that I could be more like that. I truly do. And I think that I've done that with Destiny. I've pointed out the good many, many times.
Right.
Like the gunplay, the world building, like all of that stuff that seemed to take a backseat to the evolution of these cosmetic microtransaction loot boxes.
Oh, yeah.
And other things that I think have hurt the experience. And I think that genuinely when you look at it and you step away from it, if you really look at that statement alone, Mr. Mark Noseworthy, one of the creative leads, one of the men in charge, and Luke Smith and his throw money at the screen comments, I don't think you'll be feeling as if this is a company that respects you intellectually.
At all.
Especially when they make updates to cosmetics, but they only affect the people who spend $40 more into the game. Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
But we wanted to do this video because, like Chubbz said, I agree, dude. I respect Todd Howard so much for this.
Because he could have been like, oh, it's the alt-right and the Nazis are coming down.
Well, he could have just not said anything. He could have just fluffed it. I mean, they paid those people. According to reports, like, those people were encouraged to cheer. We'll just put it like that.
Oh, yeah.
When you see the guy who was doing ESO and fucking all those jackasses.
Yeah.
But anyway... So it seems likely, like, and they just took it overboard to be trolly assholes because fuck it, why not?
Yeah,
you know? Gotta respect them for it. But the thing about it is, it's good to see that. It's good to see that he did that. He didn't have to. He could have came out and fluffed it. It's good to see that they are adding NPCs. It's good to see that they're taking the feedback from the community very seriously and saying, okay, look, like, we're working on it. We're trying to make changes. That's what Sean Murray has done with Hello Games. So although I still don't respect that man even close to as much as Todd Howard, since he owned up to his mistake, I can respect the company in the game for delivering to the people who were like, hey, like, stay engaged, told them what they wanted, told them what they liked, gave them the feedback, and they kind of shaped and molded the game around the community. And this is the thing. Could that have been the plan all along? Sure. But the problem that I have is that initially they hyped it up as the everything game.
Mm-hmm.
They put out this narrative, and I believed in it because indie development is where I was at the time having most of my most engaging experiences with new games. I was spending $15-20 on games and getting more value out of that, personal value out of that, than I was these $60 big budget titles with season passes and all this shit, right? And when that came out, I was hopeful. I was like, and I believed. I was like, can this happen? I think this can happen. I think they can do this. I believe that this can be done because I think that a lot of money is getting lost in marketing. I think a lot of money is getting lost in places that's not going to development. So the benefit of a small team is that it's more money getting funneled
more
directly
focused.
into the development.
Yeah.
You know,
more focus.
I believed in them. I fucking wanted them to fucking deliver. And they took advantage of my belief. They took advantage of everything that I had done and said and defenses I had put forth. And they delivered a game that barely functioned, hard crash left and right, fucking game breaking bugs, the playthrough breaking bugs, and a narrative that wasn't even half cooked.
Yeah.
Looked like someone's journal that they just had laying around and decided to write some shit.
Yep.
Some of it was compelling. Some of it felt like good things to come, but it never delivered on any of it. And that's my problem. And he never came forward, and he never said sorry, and he got everyone's money, and he created a game around a community of people. But I promise you, the people who bought that game day one, who were dissatisfied with that game and don't enjoy it, they outnumber the people who enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah.
100%. because that game sold a lot of copies. So that game made a lot of money, and that company made a lot of money off of a lie, and they never acknowledged it.
Yep.
So yeah, I respect it, man. I respect the game for fucking developing itself into a product that at least someone found fucking, you know, worth it.
Yeah.
Same thing with Gearbox, with Battleborn, because I know that we got sick of it, but I'm sure there's someone somewhere who enjoys it.
Yep.
So I can respect them for that, and I can respect Gearbox for now making it up to me as a Borderlands fan.
Yep.
Hooking
With
me
all
up
of
with
that
free
shit.
DLC, free games of the year, you know, So that's my view on it. I like you said, I respect Todd Howard more.
Oh yeah. Because it's easy to show that you care, but you gotta also own up to your mistakes.
Yeah. And say, look, we fucked up.
Yeah,
Like,
we're sorry.
We apologize.
We know. We understand.
Like, legit, if Sean Murray had said that, even though I probably still wouldn't like the game today, like, I wouldn't feel...
You'd respect him.
Oh, yeah, I'd
You'd respect him
way
as
more.
much as, like, Todd Howard.
I'd take the loss on the fucking $60, but I'd say, you know, at least the motherfucker apologized to me. At least because he may have apologized to the people who enjoyed the game, who kept playing the game, who got value in the game all these years later. He may have apologized to you with those updates and content, but that doesn't affect me at all.
Nope.
And there's a lot of us, you and me,
a lot
who
of people that
game,
were bought it under false pretenses, thinking
who
that there were things that were going to be there
that are still not there
at all.
Still not in the game to this day. So I don't know.
But yeah.
The way I look at it is fucking GG, Todd.
Yeah. Good
Got
game.
a lot of my respect back, but I'm still
wary.
Yeah. Like I'm not going to buy any of your games until after 5 reviews. Like you're in that slot.
And Battle Royale and Fallout 76 does nothing for me.
Does nothing for a lot of people. There's a lot of people, like in that case, same deal. There's people who will say like that validates this game for me. But you, as someone who may enjoy the Battle Royale genre, can't be upset when someone who on the other side of that is saying, yeah, but they fucking made Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 and fucking other games, and they told us that we could play this shit offline by ourselves.
Yep.
And they told us that it was going to have a rich RPG story. And they told us, you know, like, you can't be pissed at them for saying, hey, I don't give a fuck about Battle Royale. This does nothing for me. Right? I'm glad you find enjoyment in it, but don't demean other people's criticisms when it's validated, dude, because otherwise they're just gonna make Starfield a fucking space fucking Fallout 76 with fucking Battle Royale. Because if that's enough to get the little fucking kids buying the fucking microtransactions, then all's fair in love and fucking war.
Yep.
That's the thing. Destiny 2 is 100% the same game Destiny 1 was.
Oh yeah.
Why? Because it was enough.
And that's why
it was enough.
As far as the respect ladder, they're at the bottom rung.
Oh, fuck those
because
two.
Not only do they not acknowledge their mistakes and own up to their fucking problems in their game, but then they never show you that they give a shit.
Yeah.
Everything that they do is just a giant middle finger.
Another way to get people to buy in money. Put in money into the
to
game.
Everybody.
It's like the Destiny players will say this is objectively a good change for microtransactions. It's a good change. But they won't look at the flip side of that of someone who's like, well, what if I've spent money on these things and I don't want to buy the new expansion, but I still want to log in and play with my friends? I don't get to fucking change the way my character looks.
Yeah.
Because I've got to give them $40 to access new legendaries? Fuck them, dude. And fuck anyone who defends them, dude. For real. Fuck you.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone else, I love you. Sorry about that breakdown. That pisses me off. That company's respect towards its fans that come out en masse and downclick shit because it's fucking pointing out the fact that they have no respect for your intellect. They have no respect for your fucking dollar. They have no respect for your fucking time because they are constantly fucking with it.
Mm-hmm.
Constantly fucking with it. Don't get comfortable with anything in that game. It'll just change. Yep. And we'll just have to hope that Bungie doesn't have to work overtime to fucking nerf some numbers on a fucking gun. Because God forbid that fucking happen.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it for me, Jax.
Chubbz.
We're out of here. Fucking love you guys. Till next time, stay awesome, everybody. Stay wary. And like, I don't mind if you play a game and you like the game, but have respect for yourself and expect the company to have respect for you, because that's just, you can look around and see that other companies are proving that they do.
Mm-hmm.
Todd Howard proved he respected me.
Oh, yeah.
When he apologized. I didn't even buy that game.
Nope.
But just seeing him admit that it's a bad thing is like seeing Blizzard admit that, oh, by the way, guys, we were going to make Diablo 4. Haha. We didn't have a planned announcement for it that would have surely alleviated the anger and backlash towards this Diablo Immortal situation, but we were totally having it planned because of the backlash. And now we've legit got a fucking Diablo 4 coming out. Because they fucking immediately started hiring people and firing people, and they got shit worked out to a situation where now we as Blizzard fans, we as Diablo fans are going to receive Diablo 4. And that's why I have more hope in Starfield, just like you were saying.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's that sort of situation where it's like, okay, I'm excited now.
I want to see it now.
Yeah, because I think he understands. And I think he's going to push it as far as he needs to push it to get it to where it needs to be. To where I don't even care if there's bugs, motherfucker. Give me a rich RPG
make
experience.
it fun.
Fallout 4, I could bitch all day about the Desdemona bug, but at the end of the day, I played that game over 100 hours.
Oh, yeah. Played the shit out of it.
Played the shit out of it. Loved it.
But once
so
you
much
got
fun
to the
with
end, you were just like... Like you
I
said,
wanted there to be more.
Like you said, when you reinstalled
I felt
it,
like, yeah.
I don't want it.
Yeah, I don't want to play it again.
Fuck
but, like, still, I would never say that I felt gypped.
No.
That I felt like my $60 was taken. If I bought Fallout 76 for $60, I would feel that way.
Feel taken.
I feel taken with fucking No Man's Sky. Like, I feel taken with Battleborn having it go free to play. I fucking feel taken with Destiny 1. When it, like, in order for me to still play with my friends, like, Jeff had to buy us the fucking expansions.
Yep.
Because I was not giving that company any money because they told me I had to give them money to play with my fucking friends.
Yep.
You don't fucking do that to me. You allow, if they had always kept it the same way as, like, Borderlands, where if there's a level increase, everyone gets that level increase regardless of what game mode you're in or what version of the game you bought. It's just DLC is, look, this is the DLC. These are the guns and shit that are in the DLC. You're not going to see these anywhere but in the DLC. But you and your friends can still level together all the way to max level. You can still go do all these other activities that you own. You don't have to buy this new DLC if you don't want to. You can still log on and play with your friends and go shoot shit for a couple of hours and have a good time.
Yeah, and you can still progress because even though you don't have all these new guns and armor pieces we added in the game, all the old stuff that's already in the game got bumped up to a newer, higher light level. Like, simple things like this.
I'm just going to end this with one thought. And we love you guys. Well, this is like the third time we're outroing, but whatever. So I just want to leave it with this. There was a comment defending Destiny based on the fact that Witcher 3, like many other titles, usually go on sale. This is the problem with what that theory is, because if it was like that, The Witcher 3 would have released and you would have been able to play through it and you would have been able to fight Eredin at the end and defeat Eredin. And you would have been able to complete the whole story. When Hearts of Stone come out, you either have to buy it or you can no longer fight Eredin. That is the perfect example for what Destiny does. And this devolved into we fucking trailed.
We trailed.
Love you guys. Love you, Todd Howard. Love you, Gearbox. Love you, fucking Hello Games, for teaching me to never trust any slimy, limey, motherfucking liar ever again. Love you guys for watching.
Take care, everybody.